I think 8 is the podium. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance, so if everybody stands, the flags to the back of the room.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being conducted in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. The Verona Board of Education passed a resolution at its meeting held on January 8, 2013. The meeting set forth the schedule of its regular meetings, which resolution was within 7 days of passage. The schedule was sent to the Verona City Group Times, the Star Ledger, the Herald News, the Township of Verona, and the Verona Education Association. Postings of this meeting setting forth the time, location, agenda were posted each of Verona's 6 schools, the board office, and town hall. This posting was also sent to the above newspapers, all SCA presidents, and SCA liaisons. The Verona Board of Education operates under consent agenda format. Any board member has a right to have an item pulled to be voted upon or discussed separately. Copies of tonight's agenda and resolutions have been made available to the public present. Mr. Elliott?
Here.
Mr. Bloch? Here. Mr. Polino?
Here.
Mr. Hughes?
Here.
Mr. Quattrochi?
Here. Okay, we have a relatively straightforward agenda tonight, and we have one change on the agenda. Ms. Discafani is canceled for tonight. But we do have Dr. Lanzo's FM Brown students here, so why don't we do that first, and then we'll get into the rest of the agenda.
It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you for inviting us. Special thanks to our Verona Board of Ed members, Ms. Nardino and Mr. Forte, for supporting our programs at FM Brown. Students at FM Brown recently participated in the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital Mathathon program and raised $8,456 to help children battling cancer and other childhood diseases. We are so proud of our students for embracing Mathathon and raising critical funds for St. Jude. Every dollar raised helps support St. Jude's mission of finding cures and saving children and communities worldwide. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and express my great appreciation to my fellow co-coordinators, Mrs. Nicole Azadi and Mr. Rob Hill. Mrs. Azadi is in the audience, she's right there. She is our school social worker. Mr. Hill is our health and PE teacher. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it tonight. Mrs. Azadi and Mr. Hill go above and beyond for our students. And the St. Jude Mathathon is another example of them bringing a special program to our students, where students were given the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of others. We have 5 students that volunteered to speak tonight, 1 from each grade level. Each student will share a fact about St. Jude, the Children's Research Hospital, and also their Mathathon experience. So before they come up, I'd like to acknowledge them as a group. We have Jessie Wagner in kindergarten. Jessie, give a little wave. And we have Jules Fernicola, first grade. Nicole Hageman, second grade. Paige Zickerman, third grade. And Kayla Bachin. So at this time, we're going to ask Jessie to come up. He's going to be our first presenter. And again, Jessie's in kindergarten.
Hi, my name is Jess. I am in St. Jude Children's Research Hospital has treated children from all 50 states and from around the world. St. Jude is the only pediatric research center where families never pay for treatments that are not covered by insurance, and families without insurance are never asked to pay. Hi, my name is Nicole Hageman. I am in 2nd grade. It was very exciting to participate in the St. Jude Math-a-thon. It was fun doing the math. We were able to practice our math skills while helping others. Evan Brown students made a difference in other children's lives. Math-a-thon is one of the most successful fundraisers for the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. They have raised nearly $400 million since it started more than 30 years ago. Wow. Hi, my name is Paige Zickerman. I'm in 3rd grade. Here's how it works. Mr. Hill, Mrs. Azadi, and Dr. Lanzo presented a St. Jude Math-a-thon assembly where we learned how this meaningful fundraiser helps others. First, we get sponsors. Second, we do the math in our Math-a-thon fund. Next, we collect pledges. Through these 3 steps, we help other children with childhood diseases. Hi, my name is Kayla Bacher. I'm in 4th grade. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, founded by the late entertainer Danny Thomas, maintains 78 inpatient beds and treats about 260 patients each day, about 5,100 in active status, most of whom are treated on an outpatient basis.
So another round of applause for FM Browners. They practice at home, they practice with me, they did an excellent job. Math-a-thon allows students to build and practice essential math skills while they raise funds for children battling cancer. We actually brought some samples to show the board of the Math-a-thon fun books. Mrs. Zazadi is going to pass out for you to keep the samples grades K through 4. There's one of each grade level, so you can see what the students worked on. And we labeled them. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the FM Brown parents for their support, and also thank them for taking the time tonight to escort their children to the Board of Ed meeting in order for us to make this presentation. So thanks again.
Thank you, Dr. Lanzo, and thank you, FM Browners. Good job. Thank you.
Okay, if you guys want to, you guys want any parents here, right? If you guys want to go home, you can. Although we have a big budget binder, it's going to be use some Math-a-thon for sure. Okay, we'll get back to our rest of our agenda here. Do we have any public comment on any agenda items? Let's go into committee reports, and we just have one committee report, which is finance, right?
Yeah, we normally do our committee reports on our first meeting of the month, but because we're now in the budget season, we're going to meet on a same night of every board meeting from now till the end of the budget season, which will close out the end of March. We were given quite a lot of information to look over in terms of each individual school budget. It's still very preliminary, obviously, in terms of where we're actually going to go with the budget, since First of all, the state has developed a new software package for school districts to submit their budgets to Trenton on, and that hasn't even been released to the school districts yet. There are some trial versions that have been circulated, and we've gotten some insight into what's on it and what isn't on it, but we don't have it as yet. And until we do, things are pretty much up in the air in terms of what our budget is going to look like and what we're capable of providing. As in previous years, the big question will be what's going to happen with state aid. We know for sure that there's a 2% cap on our tax levy, so that will allow the budget to expand by 2% of our tax levy. But we do have some falling off of revenue. In our revenue section of our budget, we had $265,000 of appropriated surplus, and this year it's only $205,000 appropriated surplus. And that comes from the result of closing out previous accounting years, specifically the 2010-11 school year. So we have a $60,000 erosion of revenue from appropriated surplus, but it could be made up if the state decides to give us more state or decides to return to the district the state aid that it took away about 3 years or so ago when Governor Christie first came in office and cut state aid drastically to the districts. Has been restoring it in a piecemeal fashion over the years, but we're still quite a bit of ways from where we were 3 years ago in terms of what the state's sending our way. Any increase will be greatly appreciated. There's a speculation that this year there will be a substantial increase in state aid because it's an election year. The governor is up for election, re-election in November, and historically, state aid has increased in years where governors are up for re-election. So we'll see what happens. There's a lot of wish list, items on our wish list from the various schools, and the principals. What exactly we can fit into it remains to be seen. We know we have some big nuts to crack in terms of facilities needs, in terms of technology needs, and all of those will be taken into consideration, but we also have some personnel needs. We have some requests for increases in teaching staff because of enrollment. While we have an increase in enrollment at the middle school, we do have correspondingly decreases in the elementary school, so there might be some shifting along those lines. But we did go over the budget. We spent some time talking about a various number of the items, but again, we're in the preliminary stage, and we'll update this as we go along. We'll at this point in time.
We spend a minute on the binder. I just want to make sure I got right what this is meant to be, right? This is our, so every year we do a zero-based sort of process, right? So I got special ed, I got technology for the district. I'm presuming technology is Sydney's. Curriculum is Jewett, and then the elementary principals, HPW, VHS, athletics would be Gary Felicia, and B&G is Paul. So the, and what is in this binder right now? These sheets carry the current budgeted amounts, not actuals, right? When I see 2012, 2013 budget, that's our budgeted amounts, that's what the actuals amount. And then the 13, 14 proposed budget, and then the difference, right? Is there and then the summary at the beginning of this is...
Those are things that are everything that the principals would want to do if they were given a lump sum of money above their current budgets.
Right, so these 2 pages are taken out of all these other tabs.
A summary.
Saying these are the things that add up to an increase in the budget.
Right.
Right?
Those things I have not put in the budget yet.
Okay, so they're in the ask.
They are in the ask.
So these tabs are the ask. You've taken out of those and say this is what would be
Summary of the ask.
summary of the ask that would be over.
Right.
You've not put them into the budget system, budgeting.
Right.
And we don't have so what this book does not contain then is the budget as it stands now.
That's right.
Right, it's just got the ingredients that went into it.
Right.
Right? And then, so finance met to review this, right? So what we ought to do is so B and G ought to review the next, for the next meeting, right?
We'll do it the next meeting.
Right.
B and G meeting, and the finance committee prior to the,
Right, so you do B and G athletics committee, or they go through athletics, who's on athletics?
We actually, in the last committee meetings, it was preliminary, like, just an introduction to it, and then the next committee meetings.
Right, but I think each committee is gonna continue to stay
Right.
for the review of the budget, right? Right, curriculum we could do, of course, curriculum technology specialty we could do as part of the curriculum, and then how would we want to handle the buildings, the elementaries, HP and VHS? These are the buildings, finance, do those?
Well,
No.
we'd probably do it in curriculum and
Curriculum as well.
education, yeah.
Okay. Because most of these are these generally supplies, medical
Yes.
supplies, right?
The high school and the middle school are more detailed in their line item accounts because of the size of their buildings.
Right.
When you get to the elementaries, you'll see, I just asked them to break down maybe 3 accounts, the computer account, the textbook, and the workbook, so you could see, because those tend to be the larger numbers in most schools.
Right.
What I might add is on Ms. Nardino's summary page, and she called it requested needs above 2%. I'm not sure that's 100% accurate, but the thing is, what is accurate is the number. It's $1.4 million above the 2%.
Actually, it's a little bit higher.
And there's the special ed moment, we added that in after.
We added that request for the
Oh,
class.
you're right, I'm sorry, there was one page missing. We got out, and that was another $229,000, $230,000. So, and with a 2% increase, we're looking at roughly about a $500,000 increase in our tax levy, which is within our limits. But we have a $60,000 decrease. This is we have a decrease of $60,000 in appropriate surplus. So $1.4 million in extra spending and $600,000 and we haven't even touched on salaries yet either, as a matter of fact. So we don't have a summary of that yet. She's putting that together. And we also have a teacher contract which is still in negotiation, so we don't have a settlement teacher's contract for the current year. We don't have a teacher's contract for the next 2 years. Normally contract teacher's contracts for 3 years. So that's yeah, we're shooting at a moving target here, and we have our work cut out for us. As you can see, with a $1.4 million request, some of which is almost necessary when you talk about staffing and increased enrollment. Some of that you're just going to have to put into your budget and find other things to take out of your budget. But that's what we'll be doing from now till the end of March. The first submission of the budget should be in about 6 weeks. So generally, the first submission is, and you get 2 shots at it. You get a first submission, then you get a second submission. First submission is generally due the end of the first week in March. The second submission is generally due at the end of March. So between now and the first week of March, we'll have to get a budget, which will be within the state requirements in terms of what we can increase. And after that, we can refine it any way we so choose within the limits that the state imposes upon us. So that's where we're presently at.
Okay, any questions? All right, let's do superintendent's report.
Okay, just a couple quick updates. One is the security phase 1 and 2. We'll continue to work with the Verona Police Department, come up with solutions and a long-term sustainable plan. Have a meeting again with the chief on Friday. Went down to a workshop in Trenton with a police officer also last Friday, and I just wanted to report to the board and to the public that it's something that we're continuing to work toward. Policies, we have several policies we're going to update, and I'm going to get those to you in committee. Strategic plan, several community members have reached out and shown interest in phase 2. Phase 1 was the steering committee, now we'll move on to the action committees. So we have several community members that have reached out. I'm planning on presenting the fact book on February 12th. This has been put off a few times due to some things that are actually state mandated had to push this out of the way, so I'm planning on doing that from February 12th. And I just wanted to highlight three things in your resolutions. One was FM Brown received a $1,000 grant from Johnson Controls. FM Brown also, a neighbor of mine donated a wheelchair and asked if anybody could use it. FM Brown took it, it's in there for your approval today. And a town resident, Bill Hoopturp, has donated an additional $7,250 of professional development in public speaking to our district. And I just said like 5 times, so obviously I still need to do it. Yeah. I have to work a little more on that. So he's coming to the rescue. That's it for my report today.
We have okay, so it's resolution 21. Right, and where's the one for the last one you mentioned?
The wheelchair one?
No, it's speaking. Oh, okay.
It was 35.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Forte?
We have an addendum tonight, but you might need to board that copy of it.
I don't have addendums.
No, because they got done at 4 o'clock tonight, so. This is what it is, it's just resignations, so I don't know that. And this is its sub.
Yeah, it was a sub that we need to approve tonight.
All right, so why don't you just explain what those are? We can talk.
There's 2 resignations and a substitute teacher we have to hire.
All right, so let's read the, well, we'll get the resolution. We'll read it. Okay, let's do the resolutions.
Resolved that the board approve resolution number 1, which is the minutes, and resolution number 2, which is a personnel resolution.
Second.
This moved by Mr. Elliott, second by Mr. Bolino. Questions on personnel? Let's call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mr. Block? Mr. Bolino?
Yeah.
Mr. Yunus?
Aye.
Mr. Quattrochi?
Aye.
Resolved that the board approve education and special education resolutions number 3, 4, 5, and 6.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Mr. Bolino, seconded by Mr. Yunus. Any discussion or questions on these? Let's call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mr. Block? Mr. Bolino?
Yes.
Mr. Yunus?
Aye.
Mr. Quattrochi?
Aye.
Resolved that the board approve co-curricular and athletic resolutions number 7 and 8.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Bolino, seconded by Mr. Elliott. Any questions on these? Let's have a question on the, on number 7. This is for the what's the time period that the agreement is for?
For this season?
It's for the spring season.
Spring season.
Right. And then that athletic committee reviewed this?
It's the same, it went through the committee, it's the same,
It did, right? This is before us.
it's the same resolution as we've done for a while. It's with the budget too.
Okay. Right.
I guess, probably for clarification for the public, the board, as per the agreement with the lacrosse parents, the board contributes $22,000 towards the program. And the budget for the lacrosse program is $41,511, so the parents fundraise the balance.
Okay, let's call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mr. Block? Mr. Bolino?
Yes.
Mr. Yunus?
Aye.
Mr. Quattrochi?
Aye.
Resolved that the board approve finance resolutions number 9 through number 18.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Mr. Bolino, seconded by Mr. Yunus. Any question on finance? Let's have a comment on number 18. So number 18 is the advertising policy, and this is only first reading, but still. So I'm gonna vote yes for it myself, but I would want, in the very first sentence, it says, "The Board of Education recognizes and appreciates the financial support received from the federal and state funding sources and from local taxpayers." I think we take out the federal and state funding sources. For every dollar of taxes we pay, in Verona we get 3.5 cents back. And I'm not at all thankful. So, just as a form of my own, help me sleep better at night, I suggest we take that. But, second reading.
We don't appreciate it, we just take it without appreciating it.
Where I come from, a dollar invested for 3 cents back is bad.
Yeah, we appreciate that financial support of the local taxpayers.
They're the ones that give us all the money. We should thank them, right? Okay, let's go roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mr. Watt? Aye. Mr. Polino?
Yeah.
Mr. Yunus?
Aye.
Mr. Quattrochi?
Aye. And 3.5 cents includes what goes to the township. That's just- Big net number. Okay,
Okay, on the next set of resolutions, number 22, for the purchase of the truck, that amount should change to $35,626. It was an option that we wanted to add to the vehicle.
I'm sorry, what is it now?
$35,626. So number 17 and number 22 tie together because 17 is the financing rate for the truck that we're purchasing, which is number 22.
You did something a little different with this purchase, right? With the percentage? You were
Well-
able to get a better rate somehow, right?
Yeah, so we went out to the market to get a rate on the lease because if we went through Chevrolet, the lease rate was gonna be like 5%, so.
Chevy's owned by the same government that gives it 3.5 cents. Can't help myself. All right, let's go on. Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
did we move these?
No, we didn't do that yet. Resolve, that the board approve buildings and grounds resolutions number 19 through number 22.
Moved by Mr. Yunus, second by Mr. Elliott. No discussion. All right, let's go again.
Mr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mr. Brock? Mr. Polino?
Yes.
Mr. Yunus?
Aye.
Mr. Quattrochi?
Aye.
And then I'll read the 2 addendum resolutions. Resolve that the board approve the following personnel resignations as Nicole Basiglia and Allison Carvel. Nicole's last day of employment will be January 11th, or was January 11th, 2013, and Allison's will be March 15th, 2013.
And both teachers are leave replacement teachers.
What are they?
Leave replacement teachers,
Oh.
non-contracted teachers.
She's a staff study from maternity leave, so.
Yes.
And then the substitute teacher that we'd like to hire is Leslie Kepner at a rate of $85 a day.
And that's a sub for what?
It's a district center.
District-wide center.
Oh, just general, so.
Yep.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Williams, second from Mr. Elliott. Any questions? What's the reason why we need to add a sub to this? Because that's a sub, well, we have a sub list already.
Right.
So we're adding that person to the sub list, is that what we're doing?
The reason is, the one person who resigned, this sub could take her place temporarily as a substitute without having a big break in service.
So this is for specific discipline?
Maybe. Right. We're adding her to the sub list, and we may use her to fill in for that position that the person just resigned.
Depending on how you.
Depending on how it falls together, but we get it approved at the board meeting. So at least she'll just be on the sub. She's not being hired for a specific job. That would be the next meeting. If we intend to keep her for the next meeting, she'll be going to a specific job. For now, I want to add her to the sub list.
Let's go roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mr. Brock? Mr. Polino? Mr. Yunus?
Aye.
Mr. Quattrochi?
Aye. Okay. All right, we can open up to any public question or comments. Hello?
My name is Sean Luckglass. My daughter is a kindergarten student at Verona. I have more of a question, but I'm not going to bore you with a big story. The kindergarten students have a class trip planned in June, their second class trip. And my wife wanted to attend. She's not a class mom or a class parent or whatever the title is. And she was told she couldn't. And I'm curious with what happened with the Camp Bernie trip. What are the quote-unquote policies for parents who do want to go on a class trip, first and foremost, pay their own way, but just want to go? And what makes these class parents more qualified to watch other children, or what kind of check is done on those?
Well, the new policy has a statement in it that says the administration will take the number of parents needed to chaperone the trip. So, in other words, and I don't know this trip particularly, if the administration feels that they need 5 parents, they will only take 5 parents. If 10 want to go, we're still only going to take 5.
Let me ask you this, and we wound up getting it done. After hours on the phone and back and forth, we wound up getting it done. But I guess my question is, first and foremost, if people want to be a class parent, the answer I got, they would get to go on these trips for free, and that was kind of like the bonus to become a class parent. And I guess what I'm saying is, with everything going on and everything that happened in the future and the jobs that you guys are doing, would it be possible to revisit that maybe and look at if a parent wants to be part of a child's life and wants to contribute, and everyone's working, most people don't have time, but if somebody does have time and will pay their way, why couldn't, and drive by themselves, you wouldn't need additional space on the bus, why couldn't any parent, if it makes them feel more comfort, in what's going on in today's world, to go to these trips, rather than send their children with people they essentially don't know other than the staff? Why couldn't that happen, I guess? And I've thought a lot of different things through, because first of all, as Porter, you've been great helping me out with different things and assisting me in answering questions and stuff like that. If before the year started, if you had parents that thought, maybe I want to go on some trips, they'll have an application filled out, and it's just me throwing around ridiculous ideas, and then you do a background check on it before the school year starts, and the parent pays for that. It's part of the application fee. So in theory, if you have a parent who might have the time, who wants to be a part of what's going on and wants to go on these trips, do the research, make everybody comfortable. And maybe there's a group of families, 5 families that know each other, and only one of them has the time and can go. Well, then the other 4 families are comfortable also. I'm not saying anything negative about the class parents that are taking part in these trips, because I don't know enough about the judges. But I'm saying that in what's going on in today's world, why couldn't we make those kind of adjustments, just to make it available to parents? Your job is to make us comfortable. You and I have talked personally about it. You're doing a great job in doing that, but it's really about the comfort of the parents. I don't understand why that couldn't happen, I guess, is my question.
That's a good point.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, can I take a few paces back on what you're talking about? Because you raised very excellent points. My understanding was my understanding was parents who accompany field trips pay for their field trips.
It could be a building by building SEA decision. I'm not sure if that's
If the SEA.
if the SEA pays. I'm not sure.
So we'll check on that.
I'm not sure if it's a district-wide. We don't have like a, when you use different organizations, there are different kind of bylaws, like county bylaws and things like that maybe you follow them. We use a different setup because ours is, I think that's the reason why we have SEAs, because we didn't want to have like county bylaws and things like that. So there are rules that come with being, like if you associate with the PTA or the PTO or one of those.
I guess I'm asking a more generic question. The Camp Bernie trip, all the parents, my understanding is all the parents that went on the Camp Bernie trip pay. And this gentleman is saying is parents are going for free. So we should just check first.
The class mom.
Yeah, but class mom is not
Class
something,
parents.
class parents is not something that's recognized by the board. That's an SCA.
Right, that's not even my concern. My concern is,
I know, so that's one thing.
in this example, I guess my example would be, my wife works full-time, all right? She travels for work. She drops off my daughter, goes to work, picks her up in aftercare, we pay for the aftercares. And she takes her personal days that I don't have to want to go on these class trips. And the first class trip was Turtleback Zoo. And she said that most of the parents had their faces in their phones, like most of us probably did. I'm sure if there were a bunch of kids running around here, we would. Most of them had their faces in their phones. The only time they paid attention to any of the children was when they might have been taking a picture of the children with their phones. So the point is, great, that was a certain instance. And the answer I got was the Turtleback Zoo was such an open area that they allowed any parents to go. This next trip is at the Paper Mill Playhouse, which is more confined, so they just didn't think they needed them, which is kind of what you're saying. But the point is, with what's going on today, if a parent wants to take part, why can't we open that up to any field trip, not on the bus, you're not going to sit next to your kid, whatever the case is, but you can go, you can be a part, and you can try to help out, you know, and that's really kind of where I'm going with everything that's happened. That just made sense to me. I didn't think I was getting answers, and a lot of times I'll ask questions. It's my first child in kindergarten, I don't know how all this works. I get answers that make sense. None of these answers made sense to me. It seemed it was important to my wife to go, and it just didn't, the answers didn't make any sense or add up to me. Why she wasn't around, she was told no at first. It's not even like it was soft. And what happened is, this trip is in June, and the tickets were ordered in December for the trip. Oh, well, we were in order, there's nothing we can do, it's kind of just completely shut down. And then, you know, Dr. Lanzo assisted me, and we wound up working it through. But my point was, I didn't think all that was necessary for something like this. So if there are any policies and
Who
procedures,
did you correspond with that told you no, or that they told you?
you have to put me in that kind of position?
No, was it the SCA side?
No, it was a staff member.
It was a staff at the
Yeah.
school, right, okay. So, something else that you just said, that we have to check is the policy says you can't be taking pictures of other people's children. So you can't be.
I did read that in the, sorry to cut you off, after the Camp Vernon trip, that was changed.
Right.
But can we work in, my point is, can we work in something, can we do something where maybe this is rethought? You know, it's not my job, it's your job, so
Well,
I can't give you all the answers.
Right. I mean, right off the bat, my first answer to you would be, you and I should talk this week. The second thing I would say is, from being an elementary principal for several years, there are some logistical things that would cause a problem. For example, when you go to something like Paper Mill, you actually need a specific number of tickets. And there's another school buying a specific number of tickets. Sometimes those shows are actually full. So for me to give you a blanket statement like, yes, you can always do that, I wouldn't be truthful, because I know logistically we wouldn't be able to do that. And sometimes the trips aren't decided on until a little later. So you can imagine how, you know, all these issues you're talking about, I've already come across several times in my career, and as some of the times dealing with PTA rules and my rules and then a district rule. So one of the things is, though, we needed to tighten up field trips because there were too many people going on some of them. In other words, if you need 5 chaperones and you bring 20, that often causes a problem. So I can't give you a blanket statement, yes, but what I can say, and I'd like to do, and you and I have conversed, I don't know, several times about many different issues. I'd love to sit down and speak with you and you know, try to hash it out and see if there's some middle ground, but maybe you can also see the other side of it too, that there could be a reason. And that makes a lot of sense, like what you said, that Turtleback Zoo and Paper Mill Playhouse are totally different. You know, because one needs a specific seat and the other one is a big open area, like they said.
Well, it sounds like there's 4 points that come out of this, right? One is just need to make sure that we're not taking pictures of other people's children, right? Number 2 is who's paying for parents on field trips. Number 3 is how do we determine who the parents are that accompany, and you have 10 volunteers and you only need 5.
Can I ask you a question too?
And the fourth one is, in either of those venues, Paper Mill, any kind of, there's nothing that stops anybody from buying a ticket anymore. Unless if they're not China, like you can.
There is though, because that was the first answer I got, when it's only group sales.
That's
Which is
why,
again, another.
So that performance is only a group step
Correct.
performance.
it's difficult sometimes to get into something like that,
And then what turned out is I had to get to the point of, well, what if a new student came into school today? They're not allowed to go on that trip? No, you pull up the venue and you say, I got a student, and you never take it. And that's how easy something like that
No,
could.
that's right. I think fundamentally the thing that you're questioning is when we limit the number of parent volunteers on these trips, the logic that we go about doing that anymore. That's
Sure.
right? The top of line answer, and I think you should talk to Mr. Forte, like you said, just to go through the details, because different age groups have different requirements. Where we have had stresses on these sort of trips and activities, or where we tend to have an overabundance of parents, where, I'll leave it at, I thought you were looking and you thought I was looking, and there was 5 people watching 2 kids and nobody was watching anything. That sort of, that's where fundamentally the concern came from, on why that's written that way. But there should be ample opportunity for different volunteers to participate in different ways.
Right, and the other question is too, are background checks being run on these class parents?
In the policy, it states that if you go on an overnight field trip, we differentiated overnight field trips because those parents had, like real supervision duties that may not be in an area where there actually was a staff member,
Well, it wasn't called.
that those people could undergo a background check. Now, volunteers, according to code, have to be paid by the board. So the whole idea that the law that came out, Mr. Polino probably remembers from a couple of years ago, that volunteers who go on something like that have to be reimbursed for this fingerprinting. So like because you asked before, that would be a cost that would be paid for by the chaperones, but actually we have to pay for it, which is a different point. But I mean, there are some districts that fingerprint all volunteers, and anybody who's in the building, I was just speaking to somebody about it the other day, their policies, if anybody comes in the building more than 3 times a year, they have to be fingerprinted. So, or it could be kind of like where we're at, where we do it randomly. So you could have many different things. To fingerprint anybody who comes in the building more than 3 times a year, that's going to be, a pretty big task because we have many people who come to the building more than 3 times a year. So maybe somewhere in the middle.
So just to clarify, you're talking about beyond chaperoning, right?
Correct.
That
Well,
what we haven't even thought about much.
I'm talking about a couple different things, but one being that with everything that's gone on in the past recently, if a parent wants to be part of the child's field trips, whatever the case might be, why would they not be allowed because they're not going for a class mom? Because there's only a certain amount of class parents. Notice how I keep correcting myself.
So possibly beyond that chaperone.
Right.
Just be able
Exactly.
To, I think you bring up a really good point and kind of really focus on this chaperoning aspect of it, and I don't know if we would stop to ask that exact question. So I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah,
to make sure.
both. And
Okay.
me, myself, and Mr. Forte have spoken about security issues and things like that before, and I said to him, it's really, you guys are making us comfortable, and that's what it's about. And I think this is just an extension of that, And my discussions with Dr. Lanzo also, after kindergarten, you tend to be begging for class parents because they're just not, it's not as important to them. In kindergarten, obviously, it's new to you, so you don't want to let your kid on your side.
Well, I do, you bring up, not to cut you short here, but you bring up good points. I think we'll take a look at it, Mr. Forte.
Reach out to me.
The policy that we put in is the first time we have that kind of policy. I'm sure there's room for refinement.
I appreciate it.
Sensibility.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd just like to bring up a point about that policy and something we really didn't talk about much about when we approved those policies, is that when you had an excess number of parents who want to go on a trip, we were going to, I'm not sure I remember how we were going to select the parents. I'm a little concerned about if you have an excess number, you have 5, you determine 5 should go and 10 sign up. What that process consists of. And secondly, if there's a second trip, I don't think, and you have the same parents and the same number, I don't think somebody should go twice and somebody be denied twice. So I'm a little concerned about how that might impact parents, whether it be the first trip or even subsequent trips, and who gets to go, who doesn't get to go. I don't think that would be fair. Some parent goes twice, another parent can't go at all.
Yeah, that was one of the 4 things you said, is what's the process to select. Anyone else?
Hi, Lisa Fresky, 28 Hillside Avenue. I just have a comment. The Fairview, or the high school newspaper, is online now, and I signed up for it, and this week there was an article for Mr. Russo, a math teacher at the high school, who starts his math class with a meditation. And I just say kudos to him, because the feedback in the article from the students was so positive that they just had this 2 minutes before they dove into their actual academic of just setting their intention quietly, you know, getting your minds quiet, coming from the chaos of the hallways to sit in his class. I just think it's a great idea, so I just wanted to put a public shout out to him. Thanks.
Thanks.
Anyone else? All right, our next meeting is on Tuesday night, February 12th, beginning at 7 p.m. and public session at 8 o'clock. All right.